breaking from tradition somewhat, here's a cautionary tale where I neither play well nor win. Another comet game on steps. Now from this spawn, I tend not to go east. East is too exposed from the south side, north has the advantage. Instead I like to go west and hold down on the rock feature at J3. My platoon mates head east to begin with. We've got a scout going down the middle. Bad idea this early into the game. And it looks as though this T-3485 wants to compete for the same position even though he doesn't have gun depression. Yep. Thankfully I'm able to get into position in time to shoot, despite him doing his best to block me. I get set up and wait for something to drive across. I have APCR loaded as my first shot just in case it's an IS-3 or a Ferdinand or something else I want to make sure I pen, and sure enough it is an IS-3. Get one shot into him. Miss. I ignore the second IS-3, they're quite difficult to pen from this angle. I go for the Super Pershing instead. First shot's a bounce, he turns right as I fire at him. Second one is lucky RNG. Shot goes straight to his thinly armoured machine gun port. But then he starts giving me sides, and I can easily pen him, especially once I track him there. Now, RSU 100 makes no attempt to use cover. In fact, our team in general in the West is making no attempt to use cover, because why would you want to do such a silly thing as not die? See our tanks just sitting out in the open. The enemy have artillery, the enemy have tank destroyers that are capable of wiping out a tier 8 tank in 2 shots, and yet our team insists on sitting in the open. I decide I'm not going to sit around on the west flank with 2 IS-3s, a Super Pershing, a T-34 there, and now a VK-3601 as well, so I start heading over towards the east to try and rescue SRB and Durandal. Along the way though, I notice the Rheinmetall is pushing on these guys in the west. I decide Durandal and SRB are going to have to handle themselves. Try and help out the guys in the west because I know none of them are in any kind of hard cover and they will die so quickly if that Rheinmetall pushes them. So I just take a moment here to sort of sit behind a rock and survey my surroundings on the map. There's a lot of tanks in this area. I don't want to be focused down, so I'm trying to figure out which tanks will be able to see me if I cross the field, and for how long. Hellcat needs to die in a hurry, so put a couple shots his way. They don't penetrate him, but the 69 has him at least. Now this guy I need to take care of in a hurry. The T-34 will do very unpleasant things to a Comet, and he's giving me easy side shots. He's up on a pinnacle of rock, so why not take the shots? The West is getting pushed on. Not a lot I can do to an IS-3 with that much health, especially when it's got support. Once they're singled out a little, I can work on them, but for now I just auto-aim him and drive away, firing as I move, hoping maybe I'll get a lucky hit. I don't, but it's worth firing the shots anyway. I've got enough ammo. Now the Rheinmetall is a dangerous target, but it's not something I'm to charge headlong into. I notice it looking at me, so I drive away. Unfortunately not quickly enough. I start heading for the T-34. Now this is where I fuck up. I hesitated. I figured, oh, I'll get rear shots on these guys. Yes, I get a shot into the IS-3 and several shots into the VK, but it allows the Rheinmetall to catch up with me. Foolishly, I didn't think he would give chase, but it turns out, yes, he did. So there goes my repair kit, and a rather consequential amount of hit points. So we've got their arty spotted. There's not a lot in their base. Their east has fallen. I mean, really, this is looking like a favourable game for us, right? We should win this. We have an advantage in tanks, we have an advantage in hit points, we have an advantage in map control. You would think that this would be an easy clean-up at this point. I lay a couple shots into this T-34. Thankfully he misses. I shouldn't have sat still for so long. Artillery's on the other side of the track, so I can't get an accurate shot on him, but SRB cleans him up. Now here I probably should have stopped and just aimed. I would have taken a hit or two, but I would have killed that guy a lot faster. With the enemy base dealt with, our puppies begin yelling at us to cap. However, this is the wrong thing to do, because look, right there, a Ferdinand behind us, full health. That would have killed us if we'd sat on cap, so the best option was indeed to run away and try and re-engage him on our own terms. Unfortunately, that becomes difficult as our remaining heavies suicide into a 44 health IS-3 and the Rheinmetall Waffenträger. Now, I'm relying on our KV-4 and our IS-6 distracting them. Unfortunately, the Rheinmetall was looking my way, and he nearly kills me. Combined with some very unfavourable RNG, he does eventually kill me. Now, really, I should have stopped, aimed, and fired. I might have had a chance there, and then I could have finished the IS-3. So I would say this loss was as much on me as it was on the rest of our team, but what happens next is where the game truly becomes a loss. Journal dies trying to take the Rheinmetall, underestimating its reload, I suppose, or thinking it would have turned the other way now that it had killed me. Our KV-4 hasn't left base. In fact, he hasn't really moved for the past several minutes. The enemy IS-3 is so low on hit points he could be killed with a single HE shell. I wouldn't advocate firing HE, but it's one of those few situations where really it would be difficult not to kill him as long as you could hit him with a shell. This guy, again, could be killed with an HE shell. SRB pens him anyway. Rheinmetall has very poor armor. Now this looks like a favourable engagement. SRB can take a hit from the IS-3 and can easily kill it with his 90mm gun. He just has to penetrate it. Now what he really needs is for the KV-4 to get off his fat fucking lazy ass and engage the IS-3. Even if the KV-4 dies, he will be more used doing so and getting the IS-3 on its reload cycle than he would be just sitting in base doing nothing. He is one-shottable for the IS-3, unlike SRB. In the meantime, SRB just tries to keep a rock between himself and the IS-3 to ensure he doesn't get killed. Now the downside of this is it allows the Ferdinand to begin catching up. Here comes the KV-4 charging in with reckless abandon, and it manages to kill the IS-3. So now it's a T-20 that can survive one hit from the Ferdinand, and a KV-4 that can't survive a hit from anything, versus a full health, remember, Ferdinand. I don't think it had even been shot at this point, or at least it hadn't been, obviously hadn't been penetrated. SRB starts heading back towards our base. He's going to try and spot from the rocks on our end of the map, to see if he can find it. And then work his way around the outside of the map. The KV-4 charges in again, and our artillery has driven to the most useless conceivable imaginable place. Look at this. Look at this right here. J3. If I just pause the game for a moment. Look at where our artillery is. He is behind a fucking rock. Look at that. If he had just stayed in the east side of the map where he originally was set up, he would have been able to kill the Ferdinand when the KV-4 spotted it. However, he thinks he has a better idea, and now he's badly out of position when the Ferdinand is lit. That's a chance at killing it squandered right there. So now we're down to one tank that can survive only one hit, and an SPG. who doesn't appear to know what he's doing. SRB starts working his way around the right side. I don't believe he'd been spotted by the Ferdinand by this point, so he's hoping to flank it. Our artillery begins moving back to his original position, which he never should have left in the first place. But it's too late, really. He's missed his opportunity. Now SRB has to deal with a full health Ferdinand, and he'll be lucky if the artillery is set by the time he realizes it. Our idiot artillery tells him to cap, with the enemy Ferdinand still in their base, with a direct line of sight on the cap zone. As you can see, I was not very impressed with the S-51 and left him a few choice words in chat. Honestly, I don't understand how anyone could play as badly as this guy did. So I go and spectate him so I can tell SRB when he's set to take a shot. In the meantime, SRB hides in the rocks in the enemy base. You can see my frustration here as the artillery continues to drive far further than he needs to, wasting valuable time. There's now only 4 minutes on the clock, and the whole while this Ferdinand is going to be moving around trying to figure out where it's going to re-engage. Finally, our S-51 decides he wants to shoot from this spot here. That this spot is good for him, he thinks. I see him begin elevating his gun and tell SRB he's in position. Unfortunately, SRB spots a Ferdinand a lot sooner than he was expecting to. Our artillery doesn't really bother waiting for aim time, as you'll see in just a moment. SRB takes a quick snapshot, doesn't connect. Actually, quite risky move there. He's lucky he didn't get hit. Our artillery doesn't even fucking aim. He just shoots, misses completely. He's now on reload for 37.2 seconds. We have 3 minutes and 11 seconds left in this match. If he's going to continue missing shots that badly and driving around like a retard, once again he's driving. And the Ferdinand chases SRB down, destroys his engine, and with that, he's finished. He can't get away. He attempts to track it, but there's nothing he can do. Our artillery has been driving. He now blames SRB for the loss. I'm just going to time accelerate what follows. Really all that happens is the artillery continues driving around like a moron, and I say some really, really, really angry things in chat. Because honestly, it defies belief how bad some people are at this game. Presumably Arty's trying to set up for a shotgun here, but realistically it's not going to happen. He still has a full health Ferdinand to deal with. Even if he was to fully penetrate with an HE shell into the back of the tank, he'd be lucky. He would be so lucky to actually kill it. He goes in for the reset. See me watching the cap right there. Spots it, but the game's a draw because we run out of time. One bad S-51 player costs what could have been a win, turns it into a draw. And a draw is, for all intents and purposes, a loss. Now, I certainly could have played this game a lot better. There were a number of times I could have stopped to shoot rather than trying to fire on the move. But at the end of the day, all that SPG had to do was stop, stay in a good position in the east side of the map, and shoot spotted targets while waiting for his shots to aim.